Thanksgiving. I got a bone to pick. What is everybody's deal with Thanksgiving? I know a lot of people in my personal life who like Thanksgiving a heck of a lot more than they like Halloween. And those people are fucking wrong. I'm just here to tell you that. Seriously, where's the Thanksgiving season? What is it because it has football and turkeys? Dude, football goes for like an entire season, like a whole third of the year. If you want a football holiday, dude, Super Bowl. There you go. The best Super Bowl, by the way, is the one where the Eagles won. Just throwing that out there right now. But also, you have turkey on Christmas too, and so fuck it. It doesn't, it's Thanksgiving isn't that special. It is the dry run of Christmas without all the pomp and circumstance. I mean, look at Christmas. This is an S-tier holiday. It's got movies. It's got music, all on lock. I mean, the music definitely. The movies can be a little. Look at Halloween. Look at Halloween. And I mean the movie, not the holiday. Look at Trick or Treat. Look at the entire horror genre. You got so much that you can get in the cultural seasonal mood for Halloween. You got a whole season based around it. Thanksgiving, it's not. It's leeching off of Christmas. Now, one thing that I will say that Halloween definitely does lack is a central musical canon. Christmas definitely has a beat on that front. However, I think that through my cultural guidance, we can definitely create a musical canon, a little playlist of the best Halloween songs, and I think this year I've stepped upon it. I think I've really cracked the code this year. So let's go through some musical recommendations to get you in the Halloween spirit. Oh God, I have indigestion. A couple of notes before we get started. You want diversity in your playlist, but you don't want tonal whiplash. For example, if you have Big Crit Subbenstein, you're not going to want to have Song of Silence afterwards because it's kind of, morbid and spooky. They have similar themes that could relate to Halloween, but at the same time, they're too different in their tone and their vibe to be on the same playlist together. On top of that, you want a diversity of genres, but you don't want too much. You want to still have it central to a core and like a theme, so that, again, you don't get that same whiplash. So with that in mind, I have what you could almost consider a top 10, but not really a top 10. It's more just like 10 pillars that I base my central Halloween playlist around. And, hopefully you can get on it and you can enjoy it too. Just keep in mind, some of the earlier entries, especially towards the middle, are a little bit more personal preference or stuff that I find personally conducive to the Halloween season. But I promise that the top ones, you're gonna want to stick around. You're gonna want to watch this whole thing through if you're a Halloween fan, because I got some primo picks for you here. First off, at number 10, we're going to have generally kind of like almost creepy artists. Now, you're going to want to approach this with a bit of exclusivity, because I'll tell you what, you're not going to want to add the entirety of the Marilyn Manson discography just because he's a little bit creepy, right? Look, like I can get down with Rob Zombie or Ghost just as much as anybody else, but are you really going to want to saturate your playlist with like all of these artists? You're going to want to have a little bit more exclusivity, and you're going to want to approach it with a little bit more tact, because you're going to flood the playlist, especially if you're not that big of a fan of that corner of the rock genre, which, personally, I'm not a huge fan of those guys, with all due respect. They got their audiences, but I'm not exactly in their crowd. However, they do still have a place on the playlist. It's not like we get rid of them entirely. We do have a couple of songs on there. I mean, like, look, Square Hammer by Ghost. Didn't know until this Halloween that was a jam. It belongs on the playlist. I also would throw on Dragula from Rob Zombie, which has, I'm pretty sure, nothing to do with the Shudder series. I would even say, and I know I'm going to get a couple comments about this, I think Billie Eilish at least has a couple of songs that can belong in this category and get onto this list, have a little bit of a spooky vibe to them. Personally, I think Bury a Friend has that going for it. And you could even say, All the Good Girls Go to Hell. Songs like that, they can be welcomed onto the playlist. They have a little bit of a horror vibe. But just, make sure you don't oversaturate your list. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm getting into. Okay, the next one is another broad category. It's going to be songs that have just general spooky themes to them. And this is another one you're going to want to approach with a little bit of exclusivity and a little bit of a conservative hand. You can get into a bad habit with general spooky songs where you can add Running with the Devil just because it mentions devil in the title, or A Friend of the Devil is a Friend of Mine from Grateful Dead because it has devil in it, or Highway to Hell because it has hell in it, or Killer Queen because it has killer in the title. But look, all those songs have completely different vibes, different energies, and honestly, you're grasping at straws. It's a little bit of a stretch when you're trying to just take one word from the title and tie it into this whole Halloween theme. It doesn't work out, I'm telling you. However, there are definitely some songs that have just general spooky vibes, a couple singles, not from collective bands or albums, that do belong in this category. Stuff like Uma Thurman from Fall Out Boy. It has the Munsters theme song, so I mean, come on, you gotta go with it. Don't Fear the Reaper is another one that is still a little bit of a stretch, a little bit the ones I was talking about earlier, but I think it still has its place, and it's a little bit more sinister and a little bit more autumny than the other ones. Pet Sematary by the Ramones is fantastic, as a bunch of references to the book and the movies, and honestly, it's a rock jam that I think pretty much anybody can get into. Dancing on Our Graves is the best part of Cabin Fever 2. It's honestly just a good kind of folksy, kind of energetic, almost it makes you want to get up and actually dance on your grave kind of tune. Hour of the Wolf is a fantastic song. It's a little bit more moody, so it may be a little out of place, but at the same time, it makes a lot of great references to the movie, at least in its music video. It's just haunting, it's longing, it's a good song. It's just a good song, just listen to it. Dracula's Wedding by Outkast has a lot of great energy, and it's just kind of funky and poppy, and also just has this audio distortion that makes it really fun to listen to on the chorus. And finally, this one, I'll admit, is a little bit of a stretch and is maybe just a personal preference. I think Gwen Stefani, No Doubt, Spiderwebs, I think it belongs on there, honestly, because to me, I always pictured it as the Scooby-Doo theme song that we deserved but never got. So again, just be a little bit conservative. Don't put stuff on there just because it has taboo topics or something remotely creepy. You're gonna add half the rock genre if you do that, or the classic rock genre, or metal. It's the same thing with artists that have creepy appeals. You're not going to want to oversaturate your list with stuff that is going to be misplaced. Okay, now this one I recognize is probably a lot of personal taste, because a lot of the Strokes discography is maybe more summer music or something that's a little bit more joyful or poppy. But there are some songs in their playlist, in their discography, that really do belong on a Halloween playlist, in my opinion. Songs like Reptilia make you feel like you do have this boa constrictor confining itself onto you as your life is being squeezed out of you. It has these little guitar licks that are just kind of creepy, and it kind of gives you that vibe that something sinister is happening, something truly evil is descending on you. Undercover of Darkness is another one that I get. Again, you could say it's maybe a little bit closer to Someday or Last Night, where it's just a little too poppy and happy and almost joyful. But personally, this may have a lot to do with the music video that takes place in this abandoned mansion. It does give me Haunted Mansion vibes, or something from Clue, which I don't know how to describe it beyond that. but it just seems like something kind of like there's a facade almost, like there's something wrong afoot, but at the same time it's kind of putting on this front of like a party, like something good is happening, but also like something sinister is in the background. Either way, it's an amazing song that has a really great chorus that just feels really earnest and earned, and also verses that are, you know, I like the lyrics in them. They're fun. I'll throw Juicebox on there. It's got, you know, a little bit of like a sinister like bass line to it that's kind of driving, and a little bit like, you know, you're being stalked through like an alleyway or something like that by a sinister being. And, you know, I don't know. Just stay away from stuff like Last Night or Someday. It's, you know, they're gonna be totally out of place for the vibe that you're trying to create. You might know Jack Stober as the guy who's created like 50% of the audios on TikTok. He did Buttercup, which is maybe, at least in my opinion, like the TikTok song. The song that, you know, is at the core of TikTok. It's been around several times. He's great. I wouldn't put Buttercup on there just because it's a little too happy, and for me it's more of a summer song. But, you know, I think he's got other stuff that will point you in the right direction. Okay, again, this one might fall a little bit more into the personal taste column, but I feel like Jack Stober is somebody that creates through his, you know, affinity for retro media, like this feeling of the 80s, you know, and that's when like horror was like really great and really nostalgic for a lot of people. Stuff like the Friday the 13th series, the Halloween series, the Nightmare on Elm Street series, like that, you know, they're all really big in the 80s. So that retro media kind of personally, at least for me, brings me back to a Halloweeny, nostalgia-y time that I think Jack Stober can bring you back to through his music. Now, not every song is going to end up on your on your playlist here. Again, you're going to want to cut out the ones that are really going to be the most nostalgia-y and also have enough of a haunting vibe to them to belong on a Halloween playlist. Personally, I have Two-Time Doctor and Oklahoma on it. You know, if you want to say that they're not conducive to the Halloween playlist, then, you know, I won't argue. But personally, I think because it has that retro vibe, you're going to get the right vibe there. Oh, and also, since we're talking about like retro media and retro vibes, Eat Randy by Julian Smith, absolutely on there. Absolutely on there. Themes of cannibalism. It's got that retro quality to it. Once again, it's kind of campy, kind of fun, a little bit of comedy. It's great. Go watch the whole video if you haven't seen it. It's an absolute classic. It's a gem. Daveed Diggs. He's the best. He's wonderful. I love him. I wish I knew him. I want to be his best friend. Daveed Diggs. You might know him from Hamilton. He is also involved in a bunch of film production, such as Blindspotting, which is one of my favorite movies. He wrote it and starred in it with his buddy Raph. Both of them were featured on Exquisite Corpse, which was a Watsky track, which honestly, I really only care for Daveed and Raph and Watsky's verses on it. But you know what? No, it still goes on the playlist though, because, you know, the Corpse, you know, and I swear it has more themes in it than just Corpse. However, Daveed Diggs, along with Jonathan Snipes and William Hudson, is involved in clippings. It's this rap trio where I think Daveed Diggs does most of the rapping, and then the other guys do a little bit more of the instrumental, and it's really good. And also John Carpenter all the way. Last year they released There Existed an Addiction to Blood, which had a myriad of wonderful, haunting, horrific, horrorcore songs on it. And just a couple days ago, they released Visions of Bodies Being Burned. Honestly, I think slightly better, which is saying a lot because the first one was really good. Even though they're surreal and kind of hard to listen to, they're also really aesthetically pleasing in some ways, and in a kind of like Jackson Pollock kind of way, but with a lot more precision. If you're going from There Existed an Addiction to Blood, you're going to definitely want to pick up Nothing Is Safe. That definitely will remind you of John Carpenter's Halloween theme. He Dead is also really good and very haunting, and has this kind of echoey chorus and these synths that are a little bit more mellow. They're not as in your face as some of the other cuts, but still really entertaining. Just avoid tracks like Piano Burning, which is literally 18 minutes of a piano burning. That's not really going to help you out much. They have horror themed songs, but not every song is going to be conducive to something that you're going to want to listen to in a casual setting. On top of that, if you're looking for stuff off of Visions of Bodies Being Burned, just reading off the list I have here, you have Intro, 1996 Nerve Campbell, Something Underneath, She Bad, Check the Lock, and also Say the Name, which has direct references to Candyman in it. Check out clippings, they're great. If you like some of the songs, they definitely belong on the playlist. Just keep in mind, some of them are a little bit more abstract, and you may not want to listen to them always in a casual setting, like for a Halloween playlist. While we're in the rap hip-hop genre, I think I should also mention My Sub and Confetti off of Big Crit's Forever Is a Mighty Long Time. Subinstein has some great references and electrical crackles and homages to Frankenstein, as you can hear samples screaming out, "He's alive!" and all this great stuff. Plus, it's just an absolute jam. It's a wonderful listen, and honestly, I recommend it to anybody. Confetti is also really great because it's got that little skeleton song. Now, this one is going to be a little bit of a mashup of a bunch of different ones all together, because Christian recommended them to me. You may know Christian from the podcast, which you should definitely go follow on Spotify and wherever you get your different podcast material. Christian is my co-host over on the podcast. He is available on Instagram at Christian_Rocco_41 or Real J Copeland. You can go send him some love, tell him that we sent you. He recommended, being a fellow Halloween fanatic, a lot of different songs that will definitely bolster your playlist. So I'm labeling this Christian recommendations. These are recommendations from Christian. First of all, Scary Monsters and Super Freaks by David Bowie is this kind of weird, kind of out there song. I mean, it's David Bowie, but at the same time, it's got this perfect Halloween kind of bop to it. It's perfect for the season and perfect for just casual listening. Every Day is Halloween by Ministry is another great example. It just has these vocals that kind of bop and progress throughout the song. And of course, it has this chorus that is all about Halloween, is creepy, and is, a fun listen to as well. My personal favorite would have to be Halloween by the Misfits, because it is very driving, it's very emphatic, it's all about how they remember Halloween. It is really fun, and also seems like a statement, like a political anthem, like, I remember Halloween. His personal favorite appears to be Season of the Witch by Donovan, which is this nice little creeping kind of 70s, almost like hippie kind of progression, while at the same time having some references that probably don't line up exactly to Halloween 3, but also, if you want to make that part of your headcanon, hey, that's what I do. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention Broken Out of Love by Adion O'Rourke. It eventually went on to be Bray Wyatt's theme song in WWE. It's spooky for that reason alone, because Bray Wyatt is a spoopy dude who definitely didn't join the Insane Clown Posse last year. But at the same time, it's a good song just listening wise, and also has those themes that personally make me think of horror and Halloween. I had no idea that Oingo Boingo is like a Halloween-centric band almost. Like, they get back together to perform on Halloween. They have a album that seems to be pretty centered around Halloween and death and, Day of the Dead. At least that's what the cover appears to reference. Personally, the picks for me on this one are Weird Science and Dead Man's Party. They have the energy that do conduce themselves to a celebration, like a little get-together, a little bit of a party setting, while also having clear homages to, Weird Science and, the Day of the Dead and Dead Man's Party. Now, you might know Neil Cicierega as the guy who makes Mouth Noises, which are actually pretty great collections. Go check them out as well. Or you probably know him a little bit better as the guy who made this.
What is that mysterious ticking noise?
Severus Snape.
Dumbledore. Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Harry. Snape.
Harry.
Snape.
Harry.
Snape.
It's a pipe bomb.
Yeah, he's the Harry Potter Puppet Pals guy. However, he also releases music under the label of Lemon Demon. And he made Spirit Phone. Spirit Phone is great. It's kind of creepy, but also really nerdy. And I don't think it's necessarily supposed to be a Halloween album or like a horror album or like a spooky album. But at the same time, it just has so many themes that are kind of out there and kind of related to horror enough that I think they fit perfectly for a horror-themed playlist. You got songs like Sweet Bod, which is about like covering a corpse or a body or a cadaver in like a bunch of sugar and stuff, which, I mean, between the dead things and the candy, I mean, it's definitely Halloween to me. No Eyed Girl is another one that's kind of out there and kind of creepy, but also like a good like jam that's like fun enough to belong on a playlist like this. And then I would also say Cabinet Man, while having nothing to do with Halloween for the most part. Like I initially thought it was a guy who lives in a cabinet, but it actually has to do more with a cabinet video game system. I don't know. Just throw it on there. Throw it all on there. But the one that leads the pack for sure is Touch Tone Telephone, which has these openings with acapellas just kind of like bopping all around, and then leads into these different guitar progressions and strings and synths that just all meld together to create this sense of like you're going on a fucking journey with the protagonist of this song as he's learning about UFOs and extraterrestrial life, and he's trying to call in on his touch-tone telephone, and it feels very theatrical. It has this wonderful performance on the bridge that just feels like he's really like going insane in the best possible way. It is a trip. It absolutely belongs on your Halloween playlist. Just trust me on this. Now, this could also belong over in the Christian recommendation pile because he did recommend this one to me. However, this is probably the best, purest Halloween party album you're going to get. I have a better casual listening one at number 1, but this one is going to be the most kind of monster mashy, perfectly seasonal thing that you would not listen to at any other time of the year. It is all by Screaming Lord Sutch, who is a musician and a politician, and he ran for the official monster raving loony party over in Britain in the 20th century. He and his lads, wait, let's see, the Savages, Screaming Lord Sutch and the Savages, they released an album. Well, there was an album compiled of all their Halloween music called Till the Following Night, which is also a track on the album. And it's all this kind of boppy, classical kind of crooner music, like kind of swing, stuff you would expect from like the Leslie Gore era of music. And it has all the charm of that while also having all the appeal of stuff like Dracula's Daughter, and She's Falling in Love with a Monster, and like all these different songs that are clearly horror themed and also just sound like they're plucked right out of Grease or something like that. So like definitely check out the whole album. It's really, really good, and it's really entertaining. Jack the Ripper's a classical jam. Definitely recommend the whole thing. David Sutch, rest in peace. You done good. Finally, Dead Man's Bones. This fucking album. How is there not more of this? It came out in like 2009 or something like that. It is a combination of David Shields and Ryan Gosling. How do more people not know about this? It is a collection of songs, and some of them are a little bit slower. If you're not looking to have that stuff on your playlist, pick and choose. But it's this kind of poppy, funky, synth-led, alternative, folky experience for like Halloween that, like, honestly, I think is the best casual listening music on here. I could see myself listening to this almost at any time of the year, but it's particularly set around Halloween with songs like Werewolf Heart, In the Room Where You Sleep, Lose Your Soul. But let me get into the individual tracks. Werewolf Heart has this wonderful, eclectic, delicate piano on it, accompanied by this narrator that also appears on the intro track that is also haunting, that honestly I have personally on my playlist. In the Room Where You Sleep is actually pretty creepy. It's got this like synth progression that just kind of walks up and down, while at the same time it has these lyrics that depict something being in your room while you're sleeping. One of the best elements of this album is on it, they have a lot of children's choirs, and they appear on songs like Papa Power, which honestly is one of my favorite songs of this season. It is a little bit more laid back than some of the other ones, but it has these wonderful choir bits that honestly fit very perfectly. Like, you think of creepy kids in movies and stuff like that. It's very haunting and also kind of hopeful at the same time. However, the crown jewel of this album has to be Lose Your Soul. It is my favorite song on here, as again, the children's choir, which has this infectious, catchy chorus that honestly cannot be replicated on anything else that I've mentioned here, as well as this wonderful clapping percussion that just complements the bouncing piano at the same time. It's just so good. It's so haunting. In a year that I've listened to a lot of music on Spotify, it's already become my #1 song in the span of like a month and a half. So that's where I am at. Honestly, I think all of this music's great. I hope that you can enjoy some of it for your Halloween season. I know Halloween's not quite the same this year, but we'll enjoy it for next year at the very least. I know I left out quite a few stuff like Somebody's Watching Me or Monster Mash. I know that will be on a lot of people's lists. If you have recommendations, go drop them below. You can also find in the description a link to my personal playlist for Halloween, where you can see a lot of these songs plus some other ones. So, happy Halloween, guys. Have a good night and stay safe.